he's got a problem with his lawyer. Well, you better give him that house, then. All right. I'll take him with me at lunch.
You may be seated.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. We're hammering out some legal issues to try to move things along a little more rapidly. Once we get to the lunch break, we'll have a good estimate for you in terms of our timetable. All right? Okay, sir. Sergeant Bismarck, will have you resume the stand, if you would, please.
Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am.
You've already been admitted.
Yes.
No.
Judge, at this time I'd move for admission of People's Proposed Exhibit number 424. It's a map of the two locations. I spoke to Mr. McWilliams. He indicated he has no objection.
Liquor store and the gas station, is that correct?
That's correct.
Thank you.
All right, they'll be received.
Thank you. Now, Sergeant Pesmark, I handed you a series of photographs. There's 3 there in your hand.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. I'm going to start with exhibit number 185. I'm going to put that up on the screen. Does that appear to be a still that you took from the surveillance video at the entranceway?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now I'm going to show you People's Exhibit number 195. Does that appear to be another still that you would have taken from a camera affixed outside of that gas station?
Yes, ma'am.
And now I'm showing you exhibit number 197. Does that appear to be a still that you took from a camera affixed inside of the gas station?
Yes, ma'am.
I've also handed you a map, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, can you tell me the exhibit number of that map?
People's Exhibit 424.
Now I'm going to put that there on the screen behind you. Do you recognize those 2 locations?
Yes, ma'am.
Is one the liquor store and one the gas station?
The top one would be the liquor store, the bottom one would be the gas station.
And so they're located in close proximity, at least based on that map,
Yes, ma'am.
correct?
Yes.
Were they actually in close proximity?
They were.
Could you look at one of the stand in the gas station and look over at the liquor store?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so across the street from one another.
Correct.
Could you have walked there?
Yes.
Now I have here in both of your reports, I'll start with the 1455 Livernois Avenue address. You had indicated in your report that no other individuals used the ATM during the time period that you extracted video. Is that correct?
Correct.
Were there any other individuals that used the ATM during the time period that you extracted video from 14481 Livernois?
I don't recall seeing anybody.
Okay. I have no other questions.
Mr. McWilliams.
Your Honor, I think this witness, and we have no questions of the witness.
All right,
Thank you
any
very much.
questions by the jurors? Sergeant, thank you. You may be excused.
Thank you.
Judge, at this time, while we're getting our next witness, can I read 2 stipulations into the record?
Please.
Okay. I'm going to begin with People's Proposed Exhibit number 492. Mr. McWilliams.
And
This is
what are the funds extracted from?
it doesn't say. It just says.
No,
Well,
it
this
says
would
from
have-
the bank account. Okay, thank you.
reading first from People's Proposed Exhibit number 492.
All right.
This reads as follows. The records attached to this stipulation are fair and accurate copies of the records maintained and provided by ATM International Services, LLP. These records contain information about financial transactions. That information was recorded by ATM International Services, LLP, at or near the time that those transactions took place, was kept in the course of regularly conducted business. This is dated April the 26th of 2016, signed by Attorney John McWilliams and Assistant Prosecuting Attorney Robert Moran. Attached is a 2-page document and affidavit, as well as ATM transaction reports.
All right.
I would ask for admission of 492.
Without objection.
All right,
There's-
these will be received.
Thank you. There's one additional stipulation, 494. Mr. McWilliams has had an opportunity to see this. This is signed by Attorney John McWilliams, as well as Assistant Prosecuting Attorney Rob Moran, dated April the 26th, 2016, and reads as follows. The records attached to this stipulation are fair and accurate copies of the records maintained and provided by Elite Bank Card Solutions, LLC. These records contain information about financial transactions. That information was recorded by Elite Bank Card Solutions, LLC, at or near the time that those transactions took place, was kept in the course of regularly conducted business. Attached is a 1-page document that indicates the transactions for the Elite Bank Card Solution ATM located at Jay's Market. The other one, 492, dealt with Alnor Market.
All right.
Thank you.
Are we ready to proceed? Be good. Sir, name to my phone.
No. I have your name, please.
Litchfield McNary.
What?
Litchfield
L-A-T-R-E-L-L-E.
McNary.
Raise your hand. You solemnly swear firm testimony you give and anything before the court today.
May I inquire the witness, Your Honor?
Yes.
Tell me your name, please.
Litchfield McNary.
Ms. McNary, are you employed?
Yes, I am.
What do you do?
I'm a Detroit police officer.
How long have you been a Detroit police officer?
It'll be 16 years on May 31st.
What is your current assignment?
I'm currently assigned to the Evidence Tech Unit as an evidence technician.
How long, Officer McNary, have you been an evidence technician?
14 years.
And can you tell the ladies and gentlemen of the jury what your role is, what an evidence technician is, and what you do?
As an evidence technician, I'm assigned to crimes. I go to crime scenes. I collect evidence relative to the crime. I process the evidence or package the evidence, turn it over to the officer in charge. I document my scenes with photographs and sketches.
Kind of like what we see on CSI?
Kind of.
those neat tools they have on CSI?
It's CSI without the equipment.
Okay. And you said you've been doing that about 12 years now, I think? You told me?
14.
14, I'm sorry. How is the role of an evidence technician different than that of an investigator or detective?
The evidence technician, their role is solely primarily to collect the evidence. The detectives and the investigators, they go out and they do investigating further than the crime itself. My focus is the crime at hand, just write what I see at that location, and then if I'm directed to go somewhere else, but it's mainly just to collect the evidence.
So you don't interview witnesses or take statements, things like that?
No.
Okay. I'm going to take you back in time if I can to last May, specifically last May 16th of 2015. Sometime in the morning of that day, did you have occasion to go in the area of 8824 Ward Street in the city of Detroit?
Yes, I did.
And why did you go to that location, officer?
It was the scene of a shooting.
And were you working on duty as an evidence technician for the Detroit Police Department back on May 16th?
Yes, I was.
Okay. And did you get dispatch called out to those locations?
During the day, we are dispatched from our unit, from our base, and then the weekends and the evenings is through the radio dispatch, so I was dispatched.
Okay. And do you have a partner or working by yourself back on May 16th?
I was working alone.
Okay. And do you go to the location of that general area?
Yes.
And when you got there, what did you do?
I did an overview. I talked to the officers that were holding the scene. I collected evidence and I took photographs.
You said you talked to some officers that were at the scene, correct?
Yes.
You used the phrase holding the scene. What do you mean by holding the scene?
They preserve the scene to prevent contamination and or tampering of evidence.
And when you arrive at the scene, the officers are still there holding the scene?
That's correct.
And you indicated you spoke to someone at the scene?
Yes.
Now, is it typical for an evidence technician to take direction from a detective or an investigator, someone who's in charge of that particular location?
Yes.
And when you get to the location, did you seek out someone who was sort of in charge, for lack of a better term?
Yes, the officers that were at the scene kind of gave me direction from the investigator that they had spoke to.
And the officers, basically, they give you direction about what they want done, what evidence collected, what evidence documented, that sort of thing. Is that fair?
That's fair.
Okay. So you arrived at the scene, you spoke to the officers. Did you get certain direction about what type of work they wanted you to do that morning?
So I was looking for firearm evidence,
Okay. And anything else?
photos, blood, or any type of suspected bullet impact strikes.
You know, I may approach?
Yes.
I'm going to hand you 3 photographs, ma'am. I'm sorry, Mr. McWilliams.
Is that 279?
Yes.
Thank you.
People's Proposed Exhibits 191, 191, 282, and 279. Take a look at all 3 of those if you would, officer. Are those photographs, they fairly accurately depict the general location of 8824 Ward Street back on May 16th, 2015?
Yes, it does.
Okay. At this time I would move to admit People's Proposed Exhibits number 191, 282, and 279.
Without objection.
279, 282, and 191 will be received.
Can I just, let's take a look at one. Let's look at 279. Officer Manera, can you see the screen there?
Yes, I can.
Okay. And is this the general area that we're talking about on 8824 Ward Street, that general location?
Yes, it is.
Okay. And this is a photograph that you took that morning, is that right?
That's correct.
Now, I noticed right in the center of the photograph, near the top of the photograph of 279, is a Detroit police car, is that correct?
That's correct.
Now, from my vantage point, being a civilian, it appears that the street is sort of blocked off by that car. Would that be a fair assessment?
Yes, it is.
And is that part of the process you told us about preserving a scene so it's not contaminated?
Yes.
Okay. When you arrived at the location, was this Detroit police car blocking Ward Street like this?
Yes, it was.
Okay. Now, I want to direct your attention to the little yellow flags. There appear to be a number of them that are appear to be randomly placed throughout the street. Do you see those on 279?
Yes.
Okay, and those are just to the bottom of the police car from both sides of the street, curb to curb, right?
That's correct.
What are those little yellow flags, man?
Those are called placards. They're identifiers when you place on evidence.
Okay, and why do you use placards to identify evidence that's being placed on evidence?
It's just to identify it.
Okay.
They're used to identify the location of each piece.
And for each piece of evidence here, did you place a placard?
Yes, I did.
And for each piece of evidence, did you take a photograph of that particular placard?
Yes.
Okay. What type of evidence were these placards placed near?
Shell casings.
Okay, and what is a shell casing?
The shell casing is the casing that the bullet comes out of. Together it's a bullet, and then it separates, and then the cartridge. You have the, I'm not a firearms expert, but the bullet separates from the casing where the gunpowder is held inside of. And so that's what's left after the bullet is ejected from the firearm.
So when a bullet is fired, the bullet goes through the barrel,
That's correct.
and you said that the shell casing is ejected from the firearm?
Yes,
That's for semi-automatic and automatic weapons?
that's correct.
Now, a revolver, like a cowboy gun with a cylinder, they keep the casings in the cylinder after it's fired, don't they?
That's correct.
So, when a semi-automatic or automatic handgun is fired, the casings are ejected, fair enough?
Fair enough.
Okay. And they're ejected generally in the area from which the shooter was at the time of the shooting, fair enough?
Fair enough, yes, correct.
So when you arrive at the scene, you take some photographs, you place these placards, and you take photographs of the individual shell casings by each of the placards, is that right?
That's correct.
In addition to taking photographs of that evidence, did you place anything on evidence that day?
Yes, I did.
What does it mean to place something on evidence, Officer McNair?
It is to collect something from a scene, and you kind of follow it. You put it on evidence to hold it or preserve it for later use, trials, or to give to someone. Sometimes it's safekeeping, but you take it and you put it on.
What's the purpose of collecting spent firearm casings from a crime scene?
So it can be tested, ballistics testing, to match with other firearms.
Officer McNair, you told us you're an evidence technician, not a firearms examiner. Are you the one responsible for testing casings and bullets and things like that?
No, I'm not.
Okay. That's someone at their crime lab?
That's correct.
Okay. But it's your job to collect, preserve that evidence at the crime scene, fair enough?
Fair enough.
Did you collect any shell casings that day?
Yes, I did.
How many shell casings did you collect?
If I can refer to my report, but I believe it was 21.
Okay. May I approach, Your Honor? Yes. I'm going to hand you a bunch of papers held together by a staple.
Okay.
Do you recognize what that is, Officer McNair?
Yes, I had to find my report. I collected 21 spent shell casings.
And can you tell, when you're looking at a shell casing, based on your experience, can you tell the difference between calibers, like a 9mm or 38, that sort of thing?
No, what I do is look at the stamp on the back of the shell casing.
Are shell casings stamped with the caliber, like 9mm, 45, 40, that sort of thing?
Yes.
Okay. And did you collect more than one type of shell casing that night of those 21?
Yes, I did.
What types did you collect?
I collected a 9mm shell casing and a 40 caliber shell casing.
So two different types of guns?
Correct.
9mm and 40 caliber?
Yes.
And each of those types of calibers of gun, you made the shell casing that you collected?
Yes.
Okay, you're going to open them up and show them?
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
May I approach again, Your Honor?
Yes.
Officer McNair, I'm handing what's been marked as People's Proposed Exhibits 108 and 109. If you would take a look at those, if you would. First of all, what are those envelopes, People's Proposed 108 and 109? What are they?
These are envelopes containing the shell casings that were collected from the ward location.
Are those Detroit Police evidence tax envelopes?
Yes.
And are those the type of envelopes you use ordinarily in the course of your occupation when you collect evidence at a crime scene?
Yes.
And why is it important to use those kind of envelopes?
Well, it preserves the evidence or the contents that's inside.
Okay. And how do you know those are the ones that are taken from that crime scene?
They are marked with my initials. They've been sealed, and they also have a evidence tag on here.
And you filled that out yourself, officer?
Yes.
Okay. And that's so you know it's your evidence that you collected?
Yes, it's computer generated, but I generated the tag.
And do those two evidence envelopes contain the 21 spent casings you recovered, 9mm and 40 caliber casings from the crime scene at 8824 Ward Street in the city of Detroit?
Yes.
Back in May 16th. Now, inside those envelopes are spent shell casings, right?
Yes.
Okay, do you want to open one of those up for us, please?
You need some gloves? Or is it-
They're in envelopes inside of here as well. Yes.
I move to amend, Your Honor, 108 and 109.
Your Honor, as soon as they're shown and verified by the officer, I'll stipulate.
Okay, which one did you open?
I opened evidence tag, or the evidence tag number is 1505160057-2, and that is placard numbers 8 through 21, the 40 caliber shell casing.
And for my purposes, is that 108 or 109? Can you see the red envelope, the red sticker?
109.
109. And the 109 is the 40 caliber casings?
Yes.
How many 40 caliber casings did you place on evidence?
Well, I would have to count them, but it's 8 to 21. So,
Placards 8 through 21?
yes. Fourteen.
14?
Yes.
I'll take this one. What am I saying for you?
Okay, thank you.
Want to open People's Proposed Exhibits 108? You had a chance, officer, to look at the contents of People's Proposed Exhibits number 108?
Yes.
And what's inside of that envelope?
This is the 9mm shell casings.
And when you say the shell cases, are those the ones you recovered back on May 16th at 8824 Ward Street in City, Detroit?
Yes.
And how many 9mm shell casings are there?
7.
So 14 40 calibers and 7 9mm. Did I get that right?
That's correct. Thank you.
I renew my motion to admit 108 and 109, Your Honor.
They'll be received.
Just so I'm clear, this is a shell casing from 109, which is a 40 caliber.
Correct.
Okay. Is this what's actually ejected from the barrel, from the side of the gun, the port of the gun, after the bullet is fired?
Yes,
And this is what you're talking about when you're talking about shell casing, correct?
that's correct.
I don't think you have any questions, Ron.
Mr. McWilliams?
I do. Good morning, officer.
Good morning, sir.
You were called out, rain, snow, sleet, all kinds of weather, day and night, isn't that correct?
Absolutely, yes.
Okay, thank you very much for your service. And
Thank you.
you go to the scenes and you try and put together what has happened, especially based upon talking to the officer who held the scene, and then what it is you see. Is that correct?
That's correct.
You've gone to a lot of crime scenes, have you not?
Yes, I have.
Okay. And after a while, you get a sense of what's going on or what may have happened,
Yes,
and your visual observations are very important, are they not?
that's correct.
And you walk a scene, don't you?
Sometimes, yes.
Okay.
It just depends on what type of scene and where it is.
Okay.
Sometimes scenes are kind of in one location.
All right.
That's fine.
Sometimes in houses.
Yes.
Things like that. But this scene was in the streets, isn't that correct?
Yes,
And when you arrived at Ward Street, you could see certain things that you needed to be observant of laying in the street, did you not?
that's correct.
You were advised, were you not, that there had been a vehicle that had maybe been stationary and had moved off, is that correct?
That's correct.
And that it may have been received some, taken on some bullets in the meantime?
Yes,
Okay. So did you start looking on the street?
I looked in the grass on the street, at the location, the address, the driveways. Yes,
Okay. And from that, those observations, you then saw some things and you put out some placards, is that correct?
that's
And
correct.
those placards were numbered,
Yes,
and they represented the shell casings individually as you saw them,
yes,
okay? And would you agree that there would then have been 21 placards out there in the street?
Yes,
Some of them were of 9mm, some of them were 40s.
that's correct.
And you're trained enough and know the difference, do you not?
I can just look at the stamp.
Right.
I don't, take into any consideration of prior crime scenes. I look at what's on each casing.
You turn the shell over and look at the striking end of the shell casing. Is
That's
that
correct.
All right. And those items are big enough to hold a fingerprint, aren't they?
Yes.
Okay. And what do you do, if anything, to preserve that, if there is a fingerprint would be identifiable on there? What do you do?
They are placed in an envelope. And the packaging that they're placed in is conducive if DNA and or fingerprints are needed, that it can be done. Those items can be processed.
How do you in fact retrieve them off of the surface in which they were found by you?
I don't retrieve the fingerprints. I can tell you the process, but I don't retrieve fingerprints off of the shell casing.
That's not what I was getting at, I'm sorry. How do you get them up off the ground into the package that you've placed them in?
I use universal protection, which is latex gloves, and I pick up the shell casings
Okay, you
and
pick it
put
up.
them in the envelopes.
Is that, when you pick them up, are you picking them up with any other object and other than with your fingers? You use a pen, stick, pencil, or anything like that?
No, with my fingers.
Okay. Does that have, or has it ever occurred to you that those might disturb in any way any fingerprints that were on them?
No, not by the way I picked them up, no.
And how did you pick them up so that that would not happen?
If I may see a shell casing, please,
Yes?
and I can show you.
Okay. Give me back what's been marked as, may I approach, Ron? Sure. 108, you'll open the package up, maybe give us a little demonstration.
Okay, I'm ready.
All right, go right ahead. Would you give us a demonstration?
Each shell casing
Okay.
is picked up the long way. So my finger would be on the striking end and the open end. Either end can yield a fingerprint. So that would leave, excuse me, the sides of the shell casing. And that's every shell casing that I touch, every shell casing that I pick up, that's how it's done.
That's your regular routine?
Yes, sir.
You're trained to do that?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I'll take that back so that it's really... Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Hand it back to Mr. Moran. Officer, throughout your investigation, you recognize that these are in fact spent cartridges, do you not?
Yes,
The gunpowder is substantially out of it and the bullet was ejected by being presumably fired, correct?
correct.
And that they were fired individually from a weapon, isn't that correct?
That's correct.
Most likely in the hands of somebody. Would you agree with that?
Correct.
Okay. Can you, and through your investigation or your experience and training and use in this case, identify the person who in fact fired the weapon, presumably, which ejected the shell casings that you picked up?
No.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Mr. Moran?
Just a couple questions. Officer, you indicated that fingerprints and DNA casings are preserved for a possible collection of that evidence, correct?
Correct.
Do you do that?
No, I do not.
Have you ever done that in your life?
I've swabbed casings before, yes.
But you're not the one who processes it or tries to raise fingerprints or DNA, is that fair?
What happens is, because this, I just want to make sure that we're clear on this. If the shell casing needs to be dusted, then I will dust it. If it needs to be swabbed for DNA, then I would do that. But I don't process the findings.
Fair enough. Thank you. Go ahead.
Anything,
No, Your Honor.
anything by the jurors? Officer, thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Scott.
Give me your first and last name, please.
Ramon Cobb.
Pardon?
Ramon Cobb.
Spell it for us.
RAMONECOBB.
Thank you.
Mr. Cobb, would you raise your right hand for me if you would, sir? You solemnly swear the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, self and God.
I do.
Mr. Cobb, please have a seat, and once you're seated, adjust the microphone in front of you, okay?
May I inquire the witness, Your Honor?
Yes.
Tell me your name, sir.
Ramon Cobb.
Mr. Cobb, for the record, how old are you today?
40.
40 years old?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Sir, I'm going to take you back in time, if I can, to the early morning hours of May 8th, just after midnight of 2015 on May 8th. Were you anywhere near the area of 12690 Asbury Park in the city of Detroit?
Yes, sir.
And is there something in that area that you're familiar with? Is that a residential area?
Oh, yes, sir.
Okay. At that time, back in May, did you know someone who lived in that area?
Yes, I did.
And who did you know that lived in that area?
Sharika Jackson.
And Sharika Jackson, was she a friend of yours at that time?
Yes, sir.
Was she, in fact, your girlfriend at the time?
Yes, sir.
How long had you and Sharika Jackson been boyfriend-girlfriend back in May of 2015?
I want to say 4 years, 4 or 5 years.
And has Sharika Jackson recently left the Detroit area?
No, sir.
Okay. Is she still in this area?
As of today, as of right now, no, sir.
Okay.
But she hasn't, no.
Okay. She's not in this area today?
Yes, sir.
She's out of state, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. You indicated that you were, you and she were boyfriend-girlfriend for about 4 years back on May 8th at about midnight. Where were you and Miss Jackson?
We were sitting in the driveway.
Okay. Whose driveway?
Her driveway.
Is that on Asbury Park?
Yes, sir.
Were you sitting in the vehicle?
Yes, we were.
Anyone else in the vehicle besides you and Miss Jackson, Mr. Cobb?
No.
And what were you and she doing in the vehicle, just sitting there?
Sitting there talking.
Okay. And nothing unusual about that?
No.
Okay. And it's around midnight at this point, isn't it?
Yes, sir.
Did something unusual happen to you and Miss Jackson as you're sitting in that car back on May 8th of last year?
We were approached by 2 gentlemen and robbed, basically.
You're in your car.
Yes.
Are you in the driver's side or the passenger side?
I was sitting in the driver's seat.
Was that your car?
Yes, it was.
What kind of car was it, sir?
LeSabre, Buick LeSabre, 2003.
And what color was it?
Silver.
Silver, 2003, Buick LeSabre. You're sitting in the driver's seat. Yes?
Yes, sir.
Is Miss Jackson sitting in the passenger seat next to you?
Yes.
Okay. Now you said you and she were robbed by 2 individuals. When was it that you first noticed someone come up to your car?
Well, actually, I kind of dozed off, so when I looked up, there were 2 individuals in front of me at my door.
2 individuals standing on your side, the driver's side of the car?
Yes, sir.
Can you describe those 2 individuals for me, sir?
No, it was dark. I couldn't.
Okay.
No.
Okay. All you know is 2 people standing outside your door?
Yes, sir.
Okay. What happened after you noticed those 2 people outside?
They proceeded to, they proceeded to rob me. Tell me, take all my jewelry off, my money, get out of the car, and then took the car.
Did they have any weapons?
Yes.
Can you describe those for me?
2 pistols. I couldn't describe what they were.
Did each individual standing outside your car have a weapon?
As I can remember, yes.
Okay. All right. You remember each one having a weapon standing outside your car. They said it's a robbery, or words to that effect, right?
Yes.
And they told you to do something, give them something. Is that right?
Yes.
And did you give them anything?
Yes.
What did you give to the 2 individuals with the guns?
My ring, my necklace, and my watch.
What type of watch did you have, sir?
I had a Rolex.
A Rolex. Was that a real Rolex?
Yes.
Okay. Was that one that you had bought or paid for before?
Yes.
Okay. You had a ring?
Yes.
And you said you had a necklace.
Yes.
Anything else?
The money that was in my pocket,
How much money did you get?
I don't remember. It was just whatever was in my pocket.
Watch, ring, necklace, money. How about glasses?
And my glasses.
Okay, what kind of glasses were they?
Cartier glasses.
And I'm not a fashion person, but that's an expensive pair of glasses.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Rolex watch, Cartier glasses, money, ring, necklace, correct?
Yes.
Now, did you give those items to them because they pointed a gun at you? I know
Yes.
it's a silly
Yes,
question.
sir.
Yeah, you just didn't voluntarily give it to them, right?
No.
Okay. What's going through your mind when they point a gun at you and they're asking for this property? What do you think?
Is that all they were gonna get? I mean, like, I was thinking about my life.
You were scared.
Yes.
And you were afraid you might get hurt.
Yes.
And you, because of those feelings, is that why you complied with the demands for your property?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Did you get out of the car?
Yes, sir.
And did they also take the car?
Yes, sir.
What about Miss Jackson? What happened with her?
Miss Jackson, she exited the vehicle and ran.
What happened after she got out of the car and ran?
I don't know.
Okay. Did there come a point in time when she came back to the car?
Not to the car.
Okay. Tell me when the next time you saw her after she gets out of the car and runs.
When after they had left and I was in the house, which at the residence, I went into the house. I mean, 5 minutes later.
She comes back.
Yes.
Was she robbed, if you know?
From what I know, yes.
Okay. But you didn't see that?
I didn't see anything.
Okay. After you get out of the car, Miss Jackson runs, do they make you give them the keys of the car? How does that work?
No, the keys were already in the car.
Okay.
The car was running.
The car's running.
Yes.
You get out of the car. What happens after you get out of the car?
I got out of the car. One of the guys that was still standing there hit me with the gun. I fell. They took off.
Where were you hit?
In the head.
And you fell to the ground and they took off. Did they get in your car?
They got in the car and
Drove it away?
drove away.
Now, this is going to sound silly, but did you give them permission to take your car?
No, sir.
They stole it from you at gunpoint?
Yes, sir.
Okay. After they drive the car away, what do?
I went in the house
Okay.
and attempted to call the police. Well, the owner of the house called the police.
Okay. Did the police come to the scene?
Yes, they did.
And did you make a police report?
Yes, I did.
Now, at some point, you said after you're inside the house, Miss Jackson comes back. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And did she come inside the house?
Yes, sir.
And you had a conversation with her, and that's when you learned she was robbed as well, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. The car was taken. Did you ever get your watch back or your glasses back?
No, sir.
What about the car? Did you get the car back?
I got the car back.
How long after the robbery on May 8th did you get the car back, Mr. Cobb?
I want to say 2 to 3 days. Within 3 days.
Okay.
Within 3 days.
And was it in the same condition as it was when you got it stolen from you?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Now, you told us that you didn't really get a good look at the two individuals that had guns that were outside your car. Is that fair?
Yes, sir.
Can you describe them at all other than two individuals with guns? Height, weight, clothing, race?
Black. Short guy and a tall guy. I can't really give any description because it was dark.
Okay. Short guy, tall guy. What were they wearing? Do you recall?
No, sir.
Okay. You said you believe at least one, maybe two had guns, right?
Right.
May I approach the witness, Your Honor?
Yes.
So I'm going to hand you two proposed exhibits. Proposed number 3, is that 3? 434? 434 and 226. Mrs. Williams?
Thank you.
Handing you first proposed exhibit number 226. Mr. Cobb, do you recognize what that is?
Yes, sir.
What is that?
That is the front view of the house that I was sitting in the driveway of
On Asbury Park?
on Asbury Park.
Back on May 8th of 2015.
Yes, sir.
And that was like just right after midnight, right?
Yes, sir.
Is that a fair and accurate depiction of how it looked about that time?
Yes, sir.
Move to omit people's proposed number 226, Your Honor.
Any objection?
No.
Bring it up, please.
226 will be received.
Mr. Cobb, can you see the screen where you are there?
Yes, sir.
Any minute now, we're going to have 226 up.
Sorry.
Sorry. I see the red dot. There we go. Can you tell me, sir, Which house is the one we're talking about on Asbury Park?
The one in the center.
One in the middle, the one that appears to have, is that like an SUV?
Yes, sir.
Explorer parked in the driveway?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Is that the driveway that you were parked on back on May 8th when you and Ms. Jackson were robbed?
Yes, sir.
And you were actually physically in the driveway?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. And you once been marked as People's Proposed Exhibit number 434. Mr. Cobb, you see this?
Yes, sir.
What is this?
It's a map of the intersections of the street that I was on.
Is that Asbury Park and Fulton Streets and Glendale?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Is it a fair and accurate depiction of that area?
Yes, it is.
Move to amendment 434, Your Honor.
Without objection.
It'll be received.
So the house on Asbury Park is between Fullerton Avenue and Glendale, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, and St. Mary's is like one block over?
Right.
Okay. Were you familiar with that area, sir, back in May of last year?
Yes, I was.
You've been in that area before?
Yes.
Okay. That was not your house, it was Miss Jackson's?
No.
house, correct?
Yes, it was Miss Jackson's house.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Cobb. I don't have any questions, Your Honor.
Good afternoon, Mr. Cobb. Thank you, Your Honor. Good afternoon, sir.
How you doing, sir?
Fine, thank you. Do you see the person here in the white shirt?
Yes, sir.
Is this the person that you can positively identify as the person who robbed you?
No.
Thank you very much, sir.
Mr. Moran, anything else?
No, Your Honor.
Anything from the jurors? Mr. Cobb, thank you very much. You may be excused, sir.
Thanks, sir.
Sir, would you come forward and give your full name to my court reporter if you would, sir?
Right here, sir. What's your first name?
Eric Master, if you want.
Eric?
Yes.
M-A-S-W-E-L.
Correct.
Thank you, sir.
Sir, would you raise your right hand for us if you would, please? Do you solemnly swear the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Please have a seat if you would. And once you're seated and comfortable, adjust the microphone in front of you, all right?
Eric Maxwell.
Thank you, Your Honor. May I have just one moment?
Sure. Yes. Yes. That's true.
Sorry. May I have one other minute, Your Honor?
Sure. You did?
My apologies, Your Honor. I believe that I need to get my records for this, and I left them in another room.
All right. Can we get started, and can somebody else get that for you while you're questioning the witness?
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Can you please introduce yourself to the jury?
Eric Maxwell. I'm a Detroit police officer.
And how long have you been a Detroit police officer for?
Going on 2 years now.
1 or 2 years now?
2 years.
2 years. And can you describe your duties and your responsibilities as a Detroit police officer to the jury, please?
As of right now, I'm a special ops unit, or for a unit called Tactical Response Unit. I do my best to get violent offenders off the streets.
And in that role, with what did you say, Tactical Response Unit?
Yes.
Do you work alone or do you work with other people?
I work with a partner, sometimes two partners.
And back in, I believe it was June of last year.
Correct.
Were you working alone or with a partner on that
I was working
day?
with a partner that day. I was actually working patrol at the 12th precinct.
And do you remember what, and in, I believe it was mid-June, were you in the area of, what was it, a gas station, is that correct?
Correct.
And we'll have the exact, do you remember the exact date?
It was June 30th.
June 30th?
Correct.
Now, on that date, who were you with?
T. Conway. She's a corporal on midnights.
And what were you doing on that day?
I got a police run for a person with a weapon at a gas station on 6 Mile. To get to the location, there were two black males assaulting another victim. When I went to the gas station, everybody stopped at that time, and the suspect, Mr. Corbin, went to the back of the gas station. I witnessed him throw a firearm into a bag of chips. So I went to the bag of chips, recovered the firearm, and put him under arrest.
Now, I'd like to back up for just a moment. So this all happening in a gas station, you said?
Correct.
And in that gas station, how many people did you see were there?
There were 3 people at the time.
And you referenced one being Mr. Corbin, is that correct?
Correct.
And were there 2 others?
Yes, there were the victim, and there was a Tommy Williams.
Tommy Williams. Now, when you saw Mr. Corbin, where was he when you first saw him, if you remember?
At first, he was also assaulting the victim.
And when you say assault, what do you mean?
They were helming him up at the time.
And you saw this happen?
Yes.
And what happened when you saw this happen, right after that?
When we entered the gas station, they immediately stopped. Mr. Corbin walked back behind the gas station to the back corner to not be seen by me. As I witnessed him in the corner, he threw something real fast. And I seen it was like a black object. So I didn't want to alarm him that I seen what it might have been he was throwing. And I went to the back and I seen it, and I placed him under arrest, him and his partner.
Now, and so you placed him and his partner under arrest?
Correct.
And with the black object, what exactly did you do with that?
The black object was a Smith & Wesson M&P shield. It was a 9mm. I put it on evidence. And
what does it mean that you put it on evidence, sir?
I put on evidence to link it with the report that we had that day.
And it was assigned a unique number, is that correct?
Correct.
And why is it assigned a unique number when it's placed on evidence?
So it can be filed properly.
And what did you do after you placed it on evidence? Let's say, what exactly happened with that gun?
They put it on evidence, and I haven't seen it. I haven't heard anything about it for a while up until this court date.
Now, did you give it to somebody?
Yes, I gave it to my sergeant at my precinct, who puts it on in the locker.
And, puts it on locker so that it can be retrieved at some later time
Correct.
based on the unique identifying number that had been assigned to it when you
Correct.
placed on evidence?
Correct.
Now, and what happened, and there's Alan Corbin and another individual you said?
Correct.
And what happened with them? Do you know?
That I'm not sure.
Okay. Excellent. Now, may I approach, Your Honor?
Yes.
Now, I'm approaching with a package,
Yes, no problem.
which is People's Proposed Exhibit number 545.
I'd like deputies to check it.
Oh, yeah, it's been cleared, Your Honor. Are the deputies?
Oh, I did.
Oh, you did? Okay.
Thank you very much. I understand and acknowledge that it has been cleared, Your Honor.
Now, I'm placing a package that has been marked number 545 in your hands. Now, can you please take a look in that package? Well, first of all, do you recognize what that package is?
Yes, I do.
What is it?
This is a gun evidence bag where you put only firearms inside.
And do you recognize that specific gun evidence bag?
Yes, I do.
What is it?
This is the evidence bag that I placed on evidence for the firearm.
That you just referenced, that you collected on June 30th?
Correct.
And how do you know that?
It's sealed and it has my prisoner number on there from the report.
And so that's the unique identifying number that you were just referring to?
Correct.
And now, I'd ask you to take just a peek in that bag, and what do you see in there?
I see a compact M&P
And is
handgun.
sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt
No,
you.
you're fine.
Is that the gun that you collected on that day?
Correct.
I'd ask that this be moved to the next exhibit, Your Honor.
All right, what's the number on that?
545.
Any objection?
No, Your Honor.
All right, 545 will be received.
Now, and just so the record can be clear, that gun has been cleared, is that correct?
Correct.
Now, can you just please pull that out of the bag? And that's the same gun that you collected on June 30th, is that
Yes,
correct?
it is.
You can place it back in the bag now. And do you remember the address where this all happened?
Off the top of my head, no.
Would it be... Would 820 West McNichols
Yes.
sound correct?
Yes.
And that's in the city of Detroit, isn't it?
Correct.
If I may just have one moment, Your Honor.
Yes.
I have nothing further, Your Honor. Thank you.
Good afternoon, officer.
Good afternoon.
You found that gun among the bags of potato chips, did you not?
Correct.
Okay. And no one was holding it at the time?
Well, I seen Mr. Corbin throw the gun.
Okay, when you collected it, no one was holding it at the time?
At that time, no.
Okay. And certainly the gentleman right here in the white shirt was not in possession of that firearm. Isn't that true?
Correct.
As a matter of fact, the gentleman that I've just pointed to that I've asked you about in the last question, he was not even present at that time. Isn't that true?
Correct.
Thank you very much.
Anything else, Mr. Cagle?
No, Your Honor. Thank you.
Anything by the jurors? Mr. Maxwell, thank you. You may be excused.
Thank you.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, I am going to send you lunch at this time. Ask that you be back at 1:25. All right? Have a nice lunch. Oh, and we are going to go into Thursday. All right.
Thursday for sure. Thursday?
Thursday for sure we will be going. Yes.
Second. All rise. Okay, what you just next week? I'm gonna read them up. You say to 1:30? 1:25.
Maybe sit it.